Hey, welcome to Geek Speak. Appreciate you tuning in. So, what are we talking about today, brother?
Uh, dude, Todd McFarlane has putting out what's his name, Joaquin Phoenix
Yeah.
version of the Joker,
Oh, yeah.
which is the first time we were actually getting a Joaquin Phoenix Joker,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and it comes with the whole he went on that television show. I can't remember the actor that played the,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
comes with like the whole set and
Oh,
everything,
yeah.
and
Is it a statue or action
it's
figure?
like action
Yeah.
figures, and it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. But holy shit, they're asking $250 for it.
Oh, well, I would pay that for
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I'm a fan of the Joker, and I like the first Joker
Yeah.
movie, but yeah, I ain't dropping $250.
Yeah, that seems a little steep.
Yeah,
That seems a little steep, especially if it's made out of PVC and not,
yeah.
you know.
Well, I mean, if it was like 40, 100, maybe, but
Yeah.
$250.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Well, have you seen the trailer for the new series that's coming out on Amazon called Secret Level?
I don't guess so. I don't.
So, Secret Level, it's an animated anthology series made by Blur Studios, the same people that made Love, Death, and Robots.
Okay,
And you saw the quality of the
right.
animation there. And so that company was paid by Amazon to come out with a new series. And so they're doing 15 episodes, and each one's based on a game. Might be a video game, might be a board game, but they've got
I think I
they're going to
might
have
have
a
seen that.
Dungeons and Dragons is going to be one of them.
God of
God of
War,
War is
yeah,
going to be
because I
one.
think I remember seeing Kratos for like.
Warhammer 40,000, that's going to be one. And so I mean their animation is unbelievable, and their storytelling is great too. And they're little shorts. They're going to be little short videos, the way that Love, Death, and Robots was. But
Right.
that's that animation studio. Man, they're
You
making a
think they're going
killing. Yeah,
places?
yeah,
You
they're
think
going
they'll be
places.
like
Blur Studios. Yeah, fantastic. So what else you want to talk about?
today, November the 23rd,
Yeah.
is the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, 60
It
years.
was released 60 years ago today. The first episode came out, and nobody hardly watched it because it was on the 22nd, the day before,
Yeah.
was Kennedy's assassination.
Uh,
So the viewing for it wasn't that great. But the next week, before they aired the second show,
yeah.
they went ahead and replayed the first show,
And here
which
in
was pretty
yeah.
smart, but still.
And here in 2024, nobody's watching it again. So it's like it kind of books in the whole Doctor Who.
Well,
I've never been the big, huge Doctor Who fan. You have,
right,
and you haven't watched any of the new Doctor Who.
right. I haven't watched like the last two Doctors,
Yeah, and so the female Doctor and
Jodie Whittaker.
yeah, yeah, and then
I can't even say the news fella's
gay
name.
Doctor, the new Doctor. So you haven't really missed anything from what I've heard. The Doctor Who fans are going crazy because it's so poorly written. They went back and tried to screw it up. I don't understand why people do that. We've talked about it before, but hey, more power to them. You buy the IP, it's yours. You can make it profitable or non-profitable.
There you go.
So recently I watched on Netflix Twilight of the Gods, which is an animated series. I think it's going to have another season, but it follows all the Norse gods, and it's a retelling of Thor and Loki, and it was directed by Scott Snyder, who did Sucker Punch, a lot of the Justice League movies.
Hmm.
He recently had a bomb on Netflix called Rebel Moon, and but I have to admit that on this, it was really really entertaining. They introduced some new characters. They kind of made Loki a sympathetic villain, and I really enjoyed it. I watched it, enjoyed it. Teresa watched it, enjoyed it. A friend of mine, David, he watched it, and he said he really liked it too. So I feel confident there'll be a second season. And I know you like Norse
Right.
gods and things like that, so yeah, you have to check it out when you get a chance. So
Cool.
what else?
So I'm kind of a big toy fan,
Yeah,
and Hasbro's one of my favorite toy companies. Well, back in 2022, Disney like took away the Disney Princess IPs and Frozen and stuff like that away from them, and they kind of suffered a little bit because of that. Well, now Hasbro is coming back at Disney and kind of calling them out for the lack of money they're making off the Star Wars
Oh
toys and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
They're like, hey, we're putting stuff out for you all, and we're doing this, and
yeah.
we're not making our money back. And so
Right.
Hasbro literally has told Disney, we're thinking about backing out, but just because Star Wars isn't doing what Star Wars
No,
should
I
be
mean
doing.
when they come out with Andor, Andor was a great series,
Right. But
but
did they do a lot of figures for
they
that?
did a few figures for it, but nobody really wants an Andor
Playset.
playset. And they had the Alkalite, and they come out with figures on it. It didn't sell. Of course, they really got hurt during the sequel trilogy, and they did okay with The Force Awakens, but after The Last Jedi and Rise of the Skywalker, nobody was buying those toys. And you could go to Ollie's and still see Rose Ticos hanging on the shelves. And so yeah, Hasbro bought that IP, paid to make those toys,
Right.
and they've lost a ton of money.
Right.
And so now they feel almost obligated to make the toys because they have the IP, but they just aren't selling. They just
Right.
aren't selling. They got a little boost when the first season and second season of Mandalorian came out, and they sold a ton of those Grogu's.
Right.
I even have one downstairs, and I think I bought each one of my grandkids one. And but yeah, since then they've taken a real hard hit, and Hasbro's in trouble. So what about? Have you ever seen a movie called Damsel? It's on Netflix. It's got that Bobby Millie Brown from Stranger Things,
Okay.
and so when I first saw the trailer for it, when I first heard it announced, I thought a girl boss movie, and that's just what we need, another one of those. But actually, it's very well written. It's without giving too much away. Of course, the trailer pretty much gives the entire movie away. But it's about a princess. I mean, it's about a little girl who comes from nothing. She gets married to a prince, finds out there's some nefarious things going on, and she has to fight her way out of a bad situation. And it's very well written. And girl boss movies we've had tons of those. And what I refer to as a girl boss movie is you have a female character that's automatically good at everything.
Right.
Example would be Rey Skywalker from the sequel trilogy.
Or
So that's-
She-Hulk.
So that's boring. That's boring. That's not good writing. But in this movie, Damsel, she goes through an incredible amount of stuff, and she comes from like a little peasant girl to have to fight for her very life, and she has some incredible trials, which sometimes she's successful at, sometimes she's not. But you see that character growth in that 2-hour movie, and I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. Teresa watched it, and we were both really pleasantly surprised. I think she was surprised whenever I said, "Hey, let's watch this movie." And but it's really really good, and if you haven't seen it, you should check it out.
Cool.
So you got anything else?
No.
Comic book recommendation, and it's a special one. Okay,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why here in just a second. So Garth Ennis and John McCree, Garth Ennis writing and John McCree. Garth Ennis writing and John McCree doing the artwork on it. Was a series that lasted about 60 issues. It was called Hitman, and it follows Tommy Monahan, who has hardly any superpowers whatsoever. He's got some X-ray vision, and he can read minds somewhat, and basically he's just a hitman. It's a series about a hitman, and they really downplay any of his superhero powers. And so it's a fantastic read. It's one of the best things Garth Ennis has ever done. And this issue, issue 34, not only is it a good series to pick up, and you can pick them up for little or nothing, and Garth did the writing through the whole thing, and John did the artwork through the whole thing. But that's the best single issue of any comic I've ever read.
And it's DC, brother.
I know, it's DC. I know, go ahead and rub that in my nose. So hit me with a rolled up newspaper. So, but I mean, the fact is that it's a standalone story. So, it's basically this hitman runs into Superman, and they sit on a rooftop and have a discussion, and that's the entire comic. I was so impressed with it that I bought a second copy and give it to you back in the day. So in your gigantic pile of comics, some of which you've probably never read,
Yeah.
it's in there, and it's the best comic book story I've ever read.
Wow.
And so, yeah, pick that up. It's great. And guaranteed you'll like it. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. All right. So you done?
I'm done.
All right. I think I'm done. I appreciate you tuning in. If you like our content, like two geeky brothers talking, please hit that like and subscribe button. And stay geeky, my friends.